Alright, let me just start off by saying, hello, Peter. Second of all, congratulations. I'm glad Lucid has started first deliveries, although everyone who has taken delivery of a Lucid Air has decided to not post much about it, maybe because they're filthy rich, but I would love some more coverage, you know? I would love some YouTubers or people to actually take this thing on road trips or actually dive into the features and interior instead of just hearing that deliveries have started and not really knowing much else. But Peter Rawlinson was in an interview a couple of weeks ago, and because I was busy, I didn't really have much time to comment on this, but what kind of drove me mad is that Peter was kind of quick to dismiss the 4680 battery development that's going on at Tesla, and now Panasonic as well. Tesla's not the only company that's going to be mass producing these cells. I believe there's a company in Israel as well. And while he acknowledged that there's some benefits to going with a larger format, he was fairly dismissive of saying a lot of people are acting like the 4680 is this big breakthrough, and that's just not the case. I think he could not have missed the point of these batteries further, and it's actually very typical of a company like Lucid to kind of dismiss this new cell, which honestly, I think there's a ton of benefits of Lucid perhaps using these batteries in the future, and also some weird terminology when it comes to huge breakthrough, you know, like what actually counts as a breakthrough. And maybe Peter's looking at it as, you know, the 4680 cell format is still using lithium, you know, it's still using a cathode and an anode, and it's not like alien technology that fell from the sky. So yes, in that regard, it is not, you know, a huge breakthrough if that's what your definition is, of like fundamentally rewriting chemistry and science, and that's the only way we can have a huge breakthrough. Yes, I guess we all would agree. The 4680 is a variant, it's an alteration of pre-existing technology. We've had batteries for a long time, but the reason I don't think we agree is that Peter himself, as well as Lucid as a whole, has been very, very quick to brag about how great it is that their vehicles can exceed 500 miles per charge, at least estimated by the EPA. That's what probably makes me more frustrated, is they've often acted like this is some miracle and this is some huge breakthrough that they've been able to get an electric vehicle with a high range number. But I'm not trying to discredit that accomplishment. I'm not trying to say it's not cool that they can do that, but to act like a 500-mile range EV is a huge breakthrough, but then to turn around and say the 4680 format is not a huge breakthrough, I think shows how kind of disconnected you are from the rest of the industry. Because I mean, Tesla is using 2170 cells and 1865 cells across their lineup, mostly 2170 in the Model 3 and Model Y, and Tesla clearly appreciates those cells and has a roadmap to continue using them, but they see room for improvement, and more importantly, Tesla wants to accelerate the world to more sustainable transport, and they see how many freaking cars are going to be needed to make everything electric. Way down the road, we're going to need an insane amount of batteries that are just not present in today's manufacturing capacity. Like, the insane number of batteries per vehicle has to drastically change, and that's what Battery Day was all about. Now, the 4680 format is one piece of the grand picture. It also has a lot to do with where the anodes and cathodes are coming from, the tabless electrode design, the structural battery pack, the casting press technology, and reducing overall weight. So that's why I'm kind of disappointed Peter is not terribly excited for this 4680 format and is quick to say, it's not really a huge breakthrough, because you're missing the entire purpose of this new format, which is to find ways of scaling battery production faster. I hate to pull this card on you, Lucid, but it's probably not looking like that big a deal to you because you don't plan on making that many cars, which frankly means you're not helping that much in the grand scheme of transitioning everything to electric. And this is part of the reason that I have a harder time getting excited for Lucid. You know, I think they've made a solid product. On my last road trip, I actually saw one in the wild drive right by me, and I thought it looked great. It's beautiful. And yes, I do enjoy telling people that there are electric vehicles in the world that can go over 500 miles on a charge. That's a good thing. That's cool. But I think Peter and I can actually agree on one point, because earlier in this same interview, he mentioned that 50 or 60 years from now, electric vehicles might actually have less range because of how improved the charger networks will be. And there won't be this paranoia of range anxiety that we have right now, because everyone will kind of get comfortable with the idea of home charging, you know, more apartment apartment buildings will start building in chargers in their parking lots, and before you know it, there's just going to be so much readily available chargers that the idea of needing to go 400 miles on a charge is not going to sound as appealing as it does today. And I agree with Peter on this, because if you think about the logistics of the battery being the most expensive part of the vehicle, if one day, theoretically, you know, that dream scenario happens where we'll be able to make 400-mile EVs for like $30,000, that means you'll be able to probably buy a 250-mile range EV for under $20,000. Now, which one do you think is going to sell better with the ever-growing and expanding charging infrastructure that's already being built out by Tesla, Electrify America, and EVgo? Even Rivian's got their own network going. So yes, I agree with Peter. I just kind of find it funny that he's admitting in his own interview that, yeah, having all of this range is cool and it's impressive, but it really isn't going to matter in the long run because most people are going to be fine getting by with 200-mile range and 300-mile range. So that comment alone, in my opinion, kind of discredits this huge accomplishment that Lucid keeps bragging about, whereas I think Lucid would be much smarter to jump on this 4680 bandwagon. They're bragging about efficiency and about dumb range, which is Peter's terminology for just putting more batteries in a vehicle and being shocked that, oh wow, if you put more batteries in it, it goes further. No, Lucid likes to brag about how they're using more intelligent range thanks to efficiency, but honestly, Lucid, like, you're not that smart range, because while you're bragging about how most companies to get more range would just dump more batteries in the car, you're still using one of the largest battery packs on the market, 118 kilowatt hours to go 500 miles. Yeah, miles per gallon equivalent, that's, you know, a very, very impressive number, but I would hardly call it like a massive breakthrough in battery efficiency. Like, I don't really see this changing the game, especially if all of the savings you're going to make from using less batteries to achieve a higher range is just going to be put towards extremely luxury interiors, and you're hoping one day to sell a car that's $90,000. Yeah, I don't really see that as a huge breakthrough either. So frankly, Peter and Lucid, I really want you guys to find ways of incorporating the larger form factor, a structural pack, the tabless electrode design, so that you can, I don't know, pour more money towards your luxurious interiors while simultaneously improving your efficiency, and yes, having to put less batteries in each vehicle so that you can have a thicker profit margin and still retain, you know, a range that people are comfortable with. So please don't be quick to dismiss the format and just say, well, it's just a different sized battery, who really cares? Think about the long-term scalability of these batteries and how they're being designed from the ground up to sustain like terawatt hours of production by the end of this decade. I do think that's a major breakthrough. That's going to change the game for electric vehicles, and these types of batteries that are being built not just for great range and reliability and high cycle life, something I probably didn't talk enough about in this video. Getting 1,000,000 miles out of these batteries is very important, but also thinking about how many of these electric vehicles we can build, which I do think helps Tesla, but it also helps Rivian, it helps Lucid, being able to catch up with demand and build batteries for cheaper that allows you to sell electric vehicles for everyone else in the world. That does matter, and frankly, 4680 is going to change the EV world much, much more than a $170,000 car that goes over 500 miles on a charge. That's a flex, if anything. It's just kind of bragging rights. It does not change the industry. It does not really push the needle that much further. If anything, it's just like a fun tech spec to tell people who doubt that EVs can have good range. But I feel like that argument is kind of falling apart already. Like, I don't know if that many people that are dismissive of electric vehicles because they think they don't go as far, telling people, hey, you know, some EVs can go 500 miles, they're just 6 figures. That's not going to convince any EV doubters that EVs are the future. So getting prices lower and improving the cycle life of the batteries, that will start to convince some people. Let's dwell more on that. And yes, Lucid, I think you should use them in the future. So feel free to let me know how you feel about Peter's comments down below. Thank you once again to everybody who's been supporting me over on Patreon, hopefully to buy an electric vehicle with perhaps 4680 cells in the future. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.